Hello everyone and welcome back to Full House Sports here with myself Charlie, where I talk about all things sports related from all different ranges of sports. Right, wanted to react to the news that Moses Itauma has apparently rejected an IBF Eliminator, Final Eliminator that is, with Cuban heavyweight Frank Sanchez. A couple of weeks ago I did a video on Itauma wondering where he was going to go next. There was a lot of talk about who he would fight. He was rumoured to be on a card in December 13th in Manchester. That card, it looks like, is going to go ahead. I think it will be headlined probably by Derek Chisora's last fight. He put on his Instagram the other day that that's going to be his last fight. So Itauma's going to be on it. I wonder what order they'd actually go in. Would Chisora be... You would think he'd headline with it being his last fight and everything he's given to British boxing. But the breaking news, Sky Sports reported that he's rejected a final eliminator with Frank Sanchez, which is interesting, to say the least, I think. Where this shows he's going, I don't know. Whether they've got someone else lined up. I think you can rule out the Chisora fight because Derek's not stupid. He's not going to look at this fight and go, I'm going to take that fight. He knows he's probably going to get beat and beat quite comprehensively. That's not how he wants fans to remember him going out. So I can't see that being where he goes. Whether they've got someone else in place already lined up, you don't know. Whether there's someone else there that's waiting to be announced. I mean, December's still sort of in boxing terms. It gets a little way away. We only had the launch press conference for Eubank Ben the other day, and that's November 15th. But if he's rejected this eliminator, then that's quite interesting. It's confusing, I guess, in some aspects, because he's spoken, I think Ben Davison was speaking the other day about, we're interested in the Usyk fight. We'd quite like that fight. It's a win-win for Moses, I think was his exact claim or his exact quote. Now he's being given the chance to earn that Usyk fight, and they're going, no. And it makes you think, I don't think Moses Itauma is the type of person who thinks he can skip the queue. Whether there's a plan in place to get that fight, or whether there's a plan to not even do that fight. Maybe Frank Warren doesn't want it. I don't know. I've never accused Moses Itauma of ducking anybody. I don't think he's ducking anybody with the form he's in. Whether they've, like I say, got an opponent lined up, if so, then that's fair enough to them, fair play. I still think, leaning towards it, I said it on my video the other week, I still think Joe Joyce is potentially the best choice, the best option, or Zhile Zhang, or maybe they're waiting on to see if Hrgovic is cut heels. They're the three that I could see happening. I actually think the Joe Joyce fight, I've seen whispers on the internet that it might be the fight that goes ahead. So that's an interesting one. Joyce's punch resistance is still there. He's not getting knocked out, so he'd probably put up more of a fight than Dillian White did last time out. I don't know. Maybe Zhang, but then is Zhang without thinking that's not the top fight I want to be in. I suppose, to be honest, Queensbury are trying to find two opponents in very different situations. There's probably a lot of opponents looking, I don't want to fight Moses Itauma because I don't want that loss on my record. There's probably a lot of opponents looking at Derek Chisora and saying, well, it's his last fight, you know, am I being brought in as cannon fodder? And there's probably... It's quite hard, I think, probably to find opponents for both men at the moment. The card looks to be official, but it seems to be difficulty in finding who's going to fight the top two, Chisora and Itauma. I thought, though, whether they are managing him, but then you think someone like a Frank Sanchez might be the natural step up. He's that good, Moses Itauma. You thought that maybe someone like Frank Sanchez would be the natural progression. Why then they've said no is quite interesting. It's not IBF Final Eliminator as well. If he wins that, he's mandatory for Usyk. Then he can potentially take a nice, easy tune-up. But whether they don't feel he's ready for it, or whether that's just not a fight that's interesting, whether they've got someone else lined up, like I keep saying, I don't know. I thought it was interesting from the talk this week from Ben Davison saying, yes, we'd be up for the Usyk fight. That's the fight we're looking at. Moses Itauma pretty much called Alexander Usyk out in layman's terms after the Dillian White win. You know, he was very coy about it. He just let the fans chant it and said, oh, you want Usyk? I'll give you Usyk. So now the IBF said, God, then if you want Usyk, how much do you want Usyk? And him sort of going, oh, well, I do want it, but not maybe that much. Maybe he's waiting on the Parker Wardley result. You never know. That's potential. Maybe he's looking at Parker Wardley and going, I fancy the winner of that, actually. And that could be for the WBO full belt anyway. So he perhaps is playing that tactically, thinking if I take a nice, easier fight in December, win that, see what happens with Usyk and Parker and Wardley, whoever wins that fight, and then I get the winner of that. Maybe he's been promised that by Frank Warren. You never know. But like I say, I just thought it was interesting and confusing, actually. It caught me off guard a bit, because Moses Itauma, I don't think he's ducking anyone, but I thought it was interesting that he'd rejected this fight. Whether, like I said, maybe it's a money issue. They don't think he's going to make much money, Frank Sanchez. Whether they're looking at putting Chisora and Itauma on pay-per-view, I don't know. I mean, Parker Wardley's on pay-per-view, which is a whole different ballgame altogether. That's a different subject, because that's ridiculous in my opinion. But like I said, let us know what you guys think. Who should Moses Itauma fight next? Do you think he's rejected this fight? I'd love to hear some theories as to why. I can't get my head around it, really. I think the reason is because they think maybe it's too much too soon, but then that doesn't add up to what they're saying around him, the noises around him. But no, let us know what you guys think. Please like the content. Please give us a comment. Please subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated. Have a great day.